Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your host, Liam Murphy here. Going for my fourth best ball tournament win this morning. Woke up early, around 7 a.m. Going to be playing a chess tournament in a couple hours here, but I figured I'd put out a morning stream. Why not? Just going to do one Best Ball Mania, likely. Of course, Best Ball Mania is the tournament I won 2 years ago. Going to try to win again here. This is my 124th BBM. Some people have asked me questions about pacing, and my opinion is I'd like to have at least 20, I would say, for when the final depth charts are out. Typically after the third preseason game. Because what if Elijah Mitchell's cut? What if Isaac Garendo is listed as the RB2? So just to control for minor things like that. I figured a morning stream. I live in East Coast time. Figured a morning stream is better than a night stream for catching EV, because a night stream for me, or not stream, just draft. Like a night draft at like midnight for me. Well, that someone on West Coast time is 9 p.m. Of course, I run a best ball site, new this year, beatbestball.com. I went aggressive on my ranking. I updated the ranks yesterday. I went aggressive on some ranking changes. I really believe that this time of the year is when we are getting news, and I want to adjust hard to it. I want to adjust harder than other ranking providers to help you guys win, to help myself win. For example, last year, I did the bulk of my drafts early, right? So I didn't have that many drafts later in the year compared to some other people. Other people do the bulk of their drafts later. But I had Kyron Williams in literally almost every single August draft. Because he wasn't drafted all year. So by taking players that are not taken earlier in the draft cycle, you can combat the fact that they may have better ADP values on their teams. I also, that's when we were getting clarity on Mostert being the RB1. So I started taking Mostert after being worried about his age. And Achane was falling in drafts. So I started taking Achane a lot at its cheapest price. I also wrote an article recently. It's mainly what we do at beatbestball.com is strategy articles. And I linked that in the chat. And ranks. I think I'll do a ranking pod, a premium pod for those who subscribe to the site. I'll just post it directly to the site, just a recorded video where I kind of just go through the rankings and explaining what I'm trying to rank for. AJ Brown, 109, makes sense to me. Early in the year, I was taking Puka here. I still value Puka's potential at the 109, but we have to play what the market will give us. And occasionally, we're going to get an AJ Brown Puka team by waiting. Now, I made a minor mistake. I jumped in this BBM, and it was only like 9 filled before I went live. So I'm sure some people watching this stream jumped in with me. That wasn't the plan. We were planning to catch people who are not watching the stream with us. We don't want these people to be looking at our rankings as we draft. People that are watching our stream are obviously more plugged in. They're listening to me as well. Like someone popped in the chat the other day and said, I drafted Kyron Williams because of you last year and then knocked you out of a pod. That happens. I tend to just try not to think about things like that. So be it. Um, but that directly happens. And that's why I sometimes try to catch, for something like Basketball Mania, which I care about, I sometimes try to just catch a wild room. But so be it. Um, so I just know off the top of my head that I have AJ Brown paired a lot with the 49ers players. So I think I might be leaning me towards an Olave. Chan and JT, fine as well. But we're gonna go Olave today. I don't think I have that pairing that much. You got any Jordan Whittington? Yeah. I posted a draft. Good morning, sir. GM to you. I like your home setup, Ryan. Saw it online. I posted a Jordan Whittington team before he even played the preseason, and people were like, "What?" I grind news, so I had a single Jordan Whittington team. I think it's a pretty good click. Just realize that he's probably not the wide receiver 3 to start the year, right? I think Demarcus Robinson is the wide receiver 3. What Jordan Rodriguez said, athletic beat reporter for the Rams, is when asked earlier in the year, now things can change, but earlier in the year, she said, Demarcus Robinson having a good camp, wide receiver 3. Jordan Whittington having a good camp, probably wide receiver 4. So is it, possible that Jordan Whittington overtakes a career journeyman like Demarcus Robinson and emerges as a plus wide receiver 3? Yes, that is possible. Is it possible that Demarcus Robinson, who played really well last year, holds on to his role, and Jordan Whittington is a part-time player all year, and, he gives you a week or two, but he's really not what you were trying to draft for? Yes, that is also possible, right? I think a player in a similar vein to Jordan Whittington, not quite as exciting, would be Parker Washington for the Jaguars. He is the wide receiver 4 for the Jaguars, and more directly, he is Christian Kirk's direct replacement. Christian Kirk dealing with calf injury. Very minor injury, not expected to matter. Parker Washington supposedly having a good camp. So, like on my Trevor stacks, especially on 20 round sites, I'll tack on a Parker Washington every once in a while. Do I think you should be hammering Jordan Whittington at 100%? You could. That's a high variance strategy. Maybe you're landing at, a Puka Nacua-esque player. He looked good, but it's probably a little bit risky. So he's a mix in for me. We got AJ Brown. We got Olave. Let's go Pacheco today. I have like infinite Flowers and Dell. Pacheco climbing up boards. I wrote about him in this piece where it's not perfectly logical to me why he is such a riser other than the fact that Chiefs go Burr. But the fact of the matter is I just don't have that much Pacheco. I got some 4-5 Pacheco. I got some 5-6 Pacheco. The bulk of his draft volume was at the 4-5 turn, right? A couple teams got him at the 5-6 turn. However, when the bulk of your draft volume is at the 4-5 turn, I'm okay taking you at the 3-4 turn because I simply have a different combo, right? There's a lot of Pacheco teams with CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Pacheco. There's not many teams with AJ Brown, Olave, 3rd-round player, 4th-round player, Pacheco. There's not that many teams like that. So it's a better combo, in my opinion, like this. If you guys enjoy these streams, help me out. I'm on the road to 6K. Something I wanted to tweet out is, let's do it right now. Who's more likely to be a fantasy league winner? Did I spell that right? His name is Isaiah Pacheco's name always throws me for a loop. ISIAH. Let's make our pick. ETN goes. I was thinking about that. Hurts makes sense. Obviously, there's really no running backs to even like consider. What did the Mahomes drafter do? Rice. Yeah, I mean, if I only had one fantasy draft, would I rather have Rice or Kelsey? I'd rather have Rice. Maybe Kelsey can do his Kelsey things, but Rice is probably an ascending wideout. I moved him up the ranks too. But, he could still be suspended. We don't really know. I don't know why it's doing that. Great content here. Me making a tweet. So the question is, who's more likely to be a fantasy league winner? Isaiah Pacheco or Mahomes and 2 4th/5th round pass catchers, which is Rice, Kelsey, Worthy. Let's give people 3 days to vote on that. Go vote on that. In my opinion, I'd vote on Pacheco because I don't know. I could see Rice being a league winner. I could see Worthy having some big games. If Kelsey's tight in 1, maybe he's the league winner, but he'd have to really separate. I think it's quite likely that, Mahomes was what? Like the QB 8 in fantasy points last year. If he scores below Dak and Burrow and Jordan Love, like if these guys score similar points to him this year, which I would say is likely, he's going to be an 8th round pick next year. For Mahomes to pay off a 3rd round price tag, as far as like a season long sense, not a playoff pod sense, he needs to throw for 40 to 50 touchdowns, right? Like he is being priced as him having an outlier performance, in my opinion. Compared to players who you also really like, Dak, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, maybe Caleb Williams, maybe Jaden Daniels, right? Maybe Richardson. So he's a tough sell, in my opinion. It doesn't mean you don't take him, because in a contest like BBM5, we don't really care how many points you score week 1 through 17 solely. We care more about how many points you score weeks 15, 16, and more importantly, week 17. So if you think Mahomes against the Steelers is a blow-up spot, that's a reason to draft him by himself, right? AKA, it doesn't really matter the price of a stack quarterback. You just layer them in and build value around them. But I'm just saying, like in a total points format, Mahomes is a tough sell. I think Worthy would have been fun to pair with Pacheco. Uh, well, let's do James Cook. I think that's a fun pairing as well, where we get Hurts, and how we're trying to leverage off of Josh Allen and Mahomes is through the running backs. Um, let's look up the most of these sites like overload my laptop when I'm streaming, so I'm trying to find one that doesn't. So okay, Mahomes was at an outlier bad season for him, 17 and a half. But partially, I don't know what's going on. It's dinging at me. Partially, the reason for that is how defenses play him. It's not just because MVS has stone hands, right? Defenses are content to try to make the Chiefs dink and dunk down the field against them, sit in cover two. Why? Well, for the simple fact that, yeah, let's get a I recently moved Keenan behind Rome. It's just how I view it. I would rather have the ADP has it like this. Yeah, give me Rome Odunze over Keenan and Chris Godwin. Right? Keenan and Chris Godwin, okay, they'll be around 900 yards. But Rome, I think Rome's got some 40-point games in his range. What were we talking about? Yeah, the on the Chiefs and why you try to make a team like that dink and dunk down the field against you. Teams also try to do this against the Bengals. They try to do this against the Bills. Why you do that is it slows down the game, right? It makes the game go longer, which inherently means both teams get less possessions of the football. And when you're a worse team than your opponent, you want that. Why? Because it makes football a more high variance game. If each team had the football 1,000 times, then the best team would always win, right? It would remove some of the randomness of football. Why we watch football is closer to an advanced game of rock, paper, scissors, shoot, right? Football is not chess, right? It's a game where sometimes the Steelers are going to just beat the Chiefs, right? Like, seems crazy, but that happens. That's football. And so when you are the worst team, right, it's good to have humility and realize that your best path to beating these elite quarterbacks is to try to minimize the possessions of the football that they have. Also, when you try to make the Chiefs dink and dunk and down the field, or the Bills or the Bengals, it raises the chance for chaos to occur. It raises the chances for a fumble to occur. It raises the chances for a ball to clunk off a wide receiver's hand and an interception occur, right? You want these chaotic chances for your defense. If Mahomes throws an 80-yard pass to Worthy, you don't really get a chance to stop that other than your safety trying to intercept the ball. So, no, I don't think teams are going to comply with the Chiefs trying to hit the deep ball. The Chiefs are still going to try. They're still going to try to hit the deep ball regardless. But, yeah, I don't know. I think you're just it really wouldn't surprise me if Mahomes is a under advanced rate player just due to the value of other quarterbacks throughout the draft, just due to the fact that he's competing with Josh Allen and Hurts directly in price. We're going to go Ferguson. Ferguson, really good player to pair with Eagles stacks. Eagles and Cowboys play week 17. Ferguson is a Ferguson's got top 5 tight end in his range. He's got top 1 tight end in his range. He's not as good as some of these guys, but that doesn't matter if he catches 10 touchdowns. So, to end the Chiefs, comments, I definitely am going to have some Mahomes Rice teams, some Mahomes Kelsey teams, but not many, right? I don't like their Week 17 matchup. Steelers are going to try to be super run heavy. If they're in the playoff mix, they're going to really try to run the football, limit possessions in the game. And again, advance rate wise, it's a tough sell. Mahomes in the 3rd versus Joe Burrow in the 9th. I would also say it's a tough sell. Jalen Hurts in the 4th, Joe Burrow in the 9th. But Hurts, I know, can score 4 rushing touchdowns in a game. Okay. So pick 88 here. It's kind of drawing us to a running back. I like Swift. Leaves us a little light at wide receiver, but not everyone values how I have it ranked. So we're going to do that. We're going to take Swift. Makes for a 3rd running back that catches passes. And in general, those are the type of running backs I want to be betting on. I don't want to be betting on the historic efficient Derrick Henry season at 29 years of age or 30 years of age. 30 years of age, right? Like that's not the bet I want to make. I don't want to bet on Derrick Henry going for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns and not getting hurt. I would like to bet on guys who can get the goal line roll, will be catching passes, right? Attached to good teams and are young. Like Swift, Pacheco's 25. I think James Cook is 24. Yeah. I don't know how old DeAndre Swift is. He's probably 25. He's 25 too, yeah. Those are my preferred bets, right? So like a Derrick Henry versus an ETN, give me ETN. Derrick Henry versus Kyron, give me Kyron. Even Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, I think, will catch a lot more balls than Derrick Henry. Now, if it's the Derrick Henry of old, Derrick Henry can catch 3 passes, and we know that Derrick Henry can run for 80 yards. But it's just not my preferred bet. And you need the 30-year-old Derrick Henry to pay off Week 17 against the Texans. Any Cooper news? You mean Amari Cooper? He's practicing, so nothing there. There's no scenario where teams don't play starters Week 17. We have not seen a team not play starters Week 17. So let me correct that. Is it possible that, like, let's say Mahomes had a rolled ankle and they had the 1 seed? Would they maybe sit him then? Sure. But like other than like fringe outcomes like that, it's not that likely. Yeah, let's get Khalil Shakir. I'm of the opinion now that Khalil Shakir should probably be going ahead of Curtis Samuel. They're both good. I have them ranked right next to each other, but the way they're going to win is different. Khalil Shakir could be like arbitrage Stephon Diggs, where he's not as good as Diggs, but he's explosive. He gets yard after catch. So I get maybe better is like souped up Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley with yak ability. But he's gonna run, and he's also, unlike Cole Beasley, he's fast. He's gonna be able to run routes down the field. So I think he's a really good bet for spike weeks. Goddard always makes sense. B-Rob would make for a comfortable fourth running back. Old man Lockett's fine to pair with Rome. Let's do B-Rob. And with that, I think I'm going to stop at 4 running backs. I think it's kind of fun to build these hyper fragile teams, but you don't invest in running back and round. Like historically, how we built hyper fragile running back teams is you'd take a running back in round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, and you'd be done. So like it would go like Brees, JT, Pacheco, ETN, and done. Right? And then you just take a bunch of ass wideouts and hope they spike. But this is a better way of doing it, where I have top end wide receiver talent. I have an elite quarterback. I have an elite tight end. And I have 4 running backs who I like, who I think each can score 30 points in a game. And so, maybe I'll tack on a 5th just because there are so many running backs to like late. And part of the reason why you add a 5th running back is the way these playoff pods work is, you face other teams, you could be duplicated. So if Pacheco goes for 30 and James Cook goes for 30 in week 15 and I advance, wonderful. However, Pacheco and Cook is going to be on 30% of playoff teams in the next pod. So you tack on a 5th running back. You hope that running back goes for 30 one week. Maybe you sneak in a low-owned Swift. Maybe you sneak in a low-owned Cook. So it just gives you outs to getting a lower-owned running back later. But yeah. Thoughts on Gabe Davis? Gabe Davis is what he is, man. I mean, there's talk about Gabe Davis running more in the middle of the field. The Bills did that occasionally with him too, right? Like Gabe Davis primarily blocking wide receiver, downfield guy. He's a fine guy to mix in. He'll have some big games, and if Brian Thomas is not ready, he could be just the de facto wideout 2 there. Khalil Shakir comp is Golden Tate. I kind of like that comp. And that would be a really good football player if true. Right? Like, some read the Shakir usage in the preseason as a negative, where, I mean, he's not going to be 100% snap rate player just because the Bills run formations, right? So when they want some bigger guys out there, they're going to have them out there. But I don't care if you're catching 40-yard touchdowns from Josh Allen, the biggest arm quarterback in the league, the quarterback who leads the NFL in touchdowns down the field. Seems like a general good bet. Wow, we almost got Goddard on the wrap. That would have been sick. We didn't, but we almost did. Purdy is here too. Man. I'm trying to think, like, is there anyone I even would want to pair Purdy with? Probably not. Let's go Adonai Mitchell. Why not? Adonai Mitchell, in general, seems like a good skill set for best ball. He's going to have some spike weeks. I'm getting exciting seeing the training camp footage of him winning down the field, What we doing today? I'm playing a chess tournament after I finish this stream. I won the last tournament I played. I'm playing another quad today. Hopefully no one bitches out and tries to quit the quad because they lose the game. I promise you I will call them out to their face. Had to do this several times now. Jerome Ford I would have taken too. I like Jerome Ford. Other people don't. And Yeah. At this spot, we're gonna take Gus Edwards. Don't need a fifth running back, but I do like Gus. And the way I play these situations is okay, it's not a structural need of my team. My team needs wide receivers more than anything. However, 16 picks past ADP, Gus Edwards. I don't like J.K. Dobbins. Like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Hope Gus is the same guy from last year. Hope he has the goal line role. Gus can have a 3 touchdown game, 3 2-yard touchdowns. That's in his range of outcomes. He gets the Patriots week 17, which, part of the reason why Zach Moss's rushing prop is so high week 1 is because he's playing the Patriots. So Vegas, not a fan of them. Not a fan of Dobbins. Vidal and Jarrett Patterson are major question marks right now. Let's do the Gus bus. Get 5 running backs that are studly. We have an elite quarterback. We have an elite tight end. We have at least some good wide receivers. And then we're gonna go volume at wide out. We're going only 2 QB, 2 tight end. So call it 1, 2, and then we get 4 more wide receivers to on this team. Do you play any variants of chess? I mean, like, I mainly play classical and blitz and whatnot, but I play Bug House. It's more of like a game at the bar. I got better as a chess player through playing bar chess. Let's show you my chess graph. Courtesy of the US Chess, a pretty shit corporation. Seriously, the people that run this shit are weirdos. So rating history graph. This is what we're looking at here. This was my first tournament I ever played back in the 4th grade. I was rated 1200 because I went 4-0. It didn't know how to treat me. Clearly, I wasn't that strength. So I went down slowly. The green periods are just periods of inactivity, of not playing. So I went down, I went down, I went down. I floored out at 800. And then I graduated high school just above where I started at 1300. Didn't play all of college, this stretch here. And then returned after college, dipped down my first tournaments, and then rocketed up. I didn't play chess at all in college, so I was kind of surprised I just got better, but it makes sense. Just take your time more. Then I moved to New York City, went up to like 1900. It's pretty rare for like adults to improve at chess. Had a little bit of a rust patch, and I don't really work on my chess. I play chess at home, but I've just been kind of middling here. I think I'm pretty underrated, but I just got to put some consistency together. And this is my USCF rating. Around the clock. Wow, it's only like running backs. Sure. Michael Wilson, come on down. Crazy House. Crazy House, pretty crazy. What's the time limits on the quad? Game 40 with the 5-second delay, meaning each side basically has 45 minutes. Stock chart going up. But if you zoom in at my recent thing, it's like this. But yeah, I mean, honestly, first off, I play chess in Florida, so it's not a big player pool. So we play a lot of the same guys again and again. Secondly, I'm around like 1880, 1900 USCF, and I'm playing a lot of these guys who are like 2100. And the game's perfectly even, and I could draw it out, but it's just kind of not my style to settle for a draw. So in general, I gamble when the game is close, and I've tried to win. And, really, I only have to convert like 2 or 3 of these out of 10 to profit rating points from it. But I'm just running bad. I've only converted like 1 out of 10, and I've lost a lot of games that should have been draws. So maybe I should settle for more draws. Not really my style. I think in general, it's a short-term versus long-term thing. You're gonna learn from trying to go for the win more than being a pussy and settling for the draw. A lot of people who play chess are like so obsessed about rating that they can't imagine going for it. Um, Jalen Tolbert, let's get some more Cowboys pieces. Brandon Cooks banged up. We're not concerned about ADP in these late rounds. First of all, I've re-ranked these players, and I'm confident in my ranks over the ADP. Secondly, 80, it takes a while for ADP to catch up, you know? Today's not my birthday. Do you prefer Michael Wilson over Dortch? I do. I think Michael Wilson has more touchdown equity. I mean, look, I like Dortch too. And Dortch is getting some good buzz, but he's played in the NFL, and he's never had like 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he's not a full-time player all those years. Some of that was out without Kyler. But I think of the two, who's more likely to break out? I think Michael Wilson is. Yeah, exactly. There's just not that many. I need to get another coffee here. Michael Wilson's a low-key spike week guy as well. Yeah, I think he can be more than that, right? Like at worst, Michael Wilson is a guy who can catch 2 touchdowns in a game. We saw that last year. At the best, Michael Wilson, um, takes the next step, and he's like a legitimate target earning guy, and his target share is closer to Trey McBride, right? Dortch equals Khalif Raymond. Yeah, I agree. I think Dortch is in that class of player where I rank Dortch higher because Dortch is not competing with Gibbs for target share as well. But like Khalif Raymond is also a wide receiver 3, right? Dortch is the slot wide receiver 3. Both those teams have elite tight ends. So don't really know what we're going to do at QB here. Will Levis, Sam Darnold, Drake May. We're just going to figure it out later. And let's go Isaiah Likely. I think Isaiah Likely is the perfect second tight end to pair with Jake Ferguson. I prefer Likely straight up over guys like Noah Fant. At worst, Likely will be a guy who can provide you with a big week. He can be a guy who can win down the field and catch a touchdown, right? My expectation is Likely will play more than he did last year. He's probably just better than Rashad Bateman. He's probably just better than Nelson Aguilar, right? So they probably will do a little bit more 2 tight end sets than they did last year. He also has the contingent upside. Well, I wouldn't even say Elijah Higgins is the backup tight end. Arizona drafted a backup tight end. I forget the guy's name, but they drafted a tight end in the draft this year. Underdog, unlike DraftKings, one of the biggest differences is on DraftKings, if you don't take, we're going to take Andre Yoshibas here. Another guy who I think can just provide me with a huge week. He's my pick to be the wide receiver 3 of the Bengals. I've drafted a lot of Jermaine Burton. It doesn't mean I'm done drafting Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton could overtake Yoshi Voss later in the season. He could just split work with him. But I think Yoshi Voss is a good bet right now to mix in. He's a good bet for big games. But yeah, the biggest difference between Underdog and DraftKings is on Underdog, you can almost always get a starting quarterback in round 18. You can almost always get a starting quarterback in round 17. On DraftKings, if you try to do the same thing, you could be staring at Gardner Minshew as your quarterback, or so basically on DraftKings, because it's 20 rounds, and also people are just in general more donkeys, they will do things like take 4 quarterbacks. The Josh Allen drafter will take 3 quarterbacks. The Jalen Hurts drafter will take 3 quarterbacks. So all of a sudden, if you punt off quarterback, you're just staring at a bad group. We got a Hurts team with Pacheco, James Cook, Swift, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards. Really strong running back room. Didn't have to pay an egregious price on any of them. A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Roma Dunze, Khalil Shakir, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Wilson, Jalen Tolbert, Andre, Yoshi Voss, Jake Ferguson, Isaiah Likely. No clear second quarterback for me. I could do Derek Carr. It's not really my favorite because I think Derek Carr has bench risk into the season, where Derek Carr could, he could be traded, which would be fine for him, but he could also just be benched for Spencer Rattler. I think on an Olave team, you kind of just have to plug your nose and take him sometime, but it's not my preferred way to play it. And we're going to tack on another wideout as well. Ravens backups. I think Justice Hill is the favorite to start the year, but I think Keaton Mitchell is the best bet later into the year. We're going to take Drake May. I think May looked good. I think he is just a better pick straight up versus Derek Carr, where unlike Carr, who could be benched later in the season, it would be surprising if May is not playing late into the season. And I think it's also possible May just starts to play week 1. He also gives me another stack with Gus Edwards, where the Patriots play the Chargers week 17. And there are infinite Patriots wide receivers I could take with my last pick to backstack May. You can't prevent me from taking all these guys. And of course, we have Hurts to start the season, so we don't need early season points. I think Javon Baker is who we're going to pair May with. I thought Baker played well. I thought it was encouraging to see him get those downfield targets. He didn't come down the reception, but that's okay. So I think the May Baker stack is pretty fun. I've also drafted a lot of Kendrick Bourne, but he's a little bit more thin. Still on the pup list. Suffered it in October. Yeah, the real question is just like, will he be playing this year? So, anyways, we got a Hurts and May team. Pacheco, Cook, Swift, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Roma Dunze, Khalil Shakir, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Wilson, Jalen Tolbert, Andre Yoshi Voss, Javon Baker, Jake Ferguson, Isaiah Likely. Week 17 stacks. We got Hurts to A.J. Brown versus Jake Ferguson and Jalen Tolbert. So we got Eagles and Cowboys pieces. We have just James Cook and Shakir score a lot against the Jets. We have a Drake May, Gus Edwards, Javon Baker week 17 stack, Chargers versus Patriots. We have the Bears, Rome, and Swift score a lot against the Seahawks. And that is it. Week 17 correlation, because we don't have a Giant, we don't have a Bronco, nor do we want these pieces. So yeah, I like this team a lot, right? Quarterback, we're set. Running back, I have 5 who I like, which is, nice. Tight end, I got 1 who for sure can be an elite and a second who's real high upside. Wide receiver, we got 1 who, AJ Brown can be wide receiver 1 any single year. Chris Olave is a really strong bet on just target share. He's a positive regression candidate. I think they can get more creative with his usage. He's generally only been like a go route guy, not gotten a lot of layup targets with slants and such. Rome, a high upside bet. Shakir, taking a piece of the ambiguous Bills. Adonai Mitchell, we'll see what he is in fantasy, but he is an upside bet. Michael Wilson, I think Michael Wilson gives you more than people are realizing necessarily. He is a breakout potential second-year player, flashed an ability to spike last year. Tolbert, just a bet on the Cowboys 3, Yoshi Voss, the Bengals 3, and Baker, we hope that he is playing over KJ Osborne and co. So we like this team. I'm happy with how it came together. Number 124 in the books on August 17th. Streamed. Maybe we built the winner here. Hope, I think I forgot to name one of these streamed. Oh, no. I just named it with Davis. All right, guys. That's what I got today. I got to get coffee, get breakfast, get ready for this chess tournament. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. The link to join my Discord is below. Fresh rankings for Underdog and DraftKings available at beatbestball.com. Going to be updating my drafters and redraft rankings this weekend as well. And I also wrote a recent article about where the market's being illogical. We're doing a lot, right? This is the time of year where you got to grind if you're in the best ball streets, especially as a ranking provider. So I updated my ranks 3 times this week, or maybe 4, because we're getting news and I want to adjust appropriately. So have a great day, guys. Enjoy your weekend.